Alrighty, let's dive into the fascinating world of catastrophizing and its impact on mental health during adulthood. Picture this. You're walking down the street and suddenly you trip over a crack in the pavement. Now, most people might brush it off as a minor blip in their day and move on, but for someone who catastrophizes, their mind might immediately jump to the worst-case scenario. They might think, "Oh no, I'm so clumsy. What if I fall again and break a bone? I'll end up in the hospital, miss work, and then lose my job. My life is ruined." Catastrophizing is a cognitive distortion, a fancy term for when our thoughts go into overdrive and blow things out of proportion. It's like turning a tiny bump in the road into a full-blown disaster movie in our minds. And let me tell you, it can really take a toll on our mental health. When someone constantly catastrophizes, it's like they have a superhero power for conjuring up worst-case scenarios. They have this knack for magnifying the negative and underestimating their ability to cope with challenges. It's like having a dark cloud constantly following them around, raining on their parade. Now let's talk about how catastrophizing affects people and society. Imagine you're in a meeting at work and your boss asks you to present a project you've been working on. You start catastrophizing, thinking, "I'm going to mess up the presentation, stumble over my words, and everyone will think I'm incompetent. They'll lose faith in me, and I'll never get promoted. I'll be stuck in this job forever." This kind of thinking can lead to anxiety, self-doubt, and even avoidance of opportunities for growth and success. On a societal level, catastrophizing can have ripple effects. Think about how fear spreads like wildfire. When one person catastrophizes, it can influence others around them, creating a culture of anxiety and negativity. It can also impact decision-making processes, leading to overly cautious or risk-averse behaviors, which might hinder progress and innovation. Let's take a look at a few more examples to paint a clearer picture. Imagine someone is invited to a social gathering. Instead of looking forward to meeting new people and having a good time, they catastrophize, thinking, "What if no one likes me? What if I say something embarrassing? I'll end up alone and friendless forever." This kind of thinking can lead to social anxiety and isolation, preventing them from forming meaningful connections. Or let's say someone receives an email from their boss asking for a meeting. Instead of considering it as a routine check-in, they catastrophize, thinking, "I must be getting fired, I'll lose my income, won't be able to pay my bills," and end up homeless. This kind of thinking can lead to panic and stress, affecting their overall well-being and ability to perform at work. Now let's dive deeper into the world of catastrophizing and explore some additional aspects and strategies to tackle this cognitive distortion. One important thing to note is that catastrophizing often stems from our innate need for certainty and control. When faced with uncertain or challenging situations, our minds sometimes resort to catastrophizing as a way to cope and regain a sense of control. It's like our brains attempt to prepare us for the worst-case scenario, even if it's highly unlikely to happen. Now, while it's natural to have concerns and worries, catastrophizing takes those concerns to the extreme. It's like our brain hits the panic button and goes into overdrive, amplifying the negative outcomes and minimizing the likelihood of positive outcomes. This can lead to a vicious cycle of anxiety and distress, where our thoughts continuously spiral into worst-case scenarios. To break free from the clutches of catastrophizing, it's important to challenge those negative thoughts and bring ourselves back to a more realistic perspective. Here are a few strategies you can try. 1. Recognize the pattern. Start by becoming aware of when you're engaging in catastrophizing. Pay attention to the thoughts that pop into your mind and the emotions they trigger. By noticing the pattern, you can start to interrupt it and take a step back. 2. Question the evidence. When you catch yourself catastrophizing, ask yourself if there is any concrete evidence to support those catastrophic thoughts. Often, you'll find that there's little or no evidence to back them up. This helps to bring your focus back to reality and reduce the intensity of your anxious thoughts. 3. Consider alternative outcomes. Instead of fixating on the worst-case scenario, try to consider other possible outcomes. Remind yourself that there is a range of possibilities and that catastrophizing only narrows your perspective. By exploring alternative scenarios, you can regain a sense of balance and rationality. 4. Practice self-compassion. Catastrophizing can be fueled by self-criticism and a fear of failure. Counteract these negative self-judgments by practicing self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, just as you would treat a friend who is going through a tough time. Remember, nobody is perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes or face challenges. 5. Seek support. Don't hesitate to reach out to supportive friends, family, or mental health professionals. Talking about your worries and fears with others can provide a fresh perspective and help you gain a sense of reassurance. Sometimes, an outside perspective can help us see things more clearly and challenge our catastrophizing thoughts. So, my friend, the psychology of catastrophizing is a real doozy. It's like a magnifying glass for negativity, distorting our perception of reality and causing unnecessary distress. But fear not. Awareness is the first step toward overcoming this cognitive distortion. By recognizing when we're catastrophizing and challenging those negative thoughts, we can take back control of our mental health and live a more balanced and positive life. Remember, it's all about finding that silver lining in the storm clouds.